We're up to Daf Lamed Zayin Amid Bet, which is so often the case in a Masechta of Shas. Seems to be like the middle of a paragraph or the middle of a chapter, and yet it is the beginning of a new sugya, a new phase, and that's significant. The third parak, of course, Lulav Hagazul, focusing on each of the Dalit Minim, going through them systematically, trying to help us understand when they would be puzzle, whether because of their halachic status or whether because of their physical status. That means to say could be gazul, or it could be shel ashera, shel nidachat, or it could be yavesh, it could be too short, it could be too desiccated, it could have holes in it, all sorts of things we saw in the third parak last we learned. We took several excursions into talking about mitzvah baba aveira, obviously. We went through lulav, hadassim, aravot, etrog. We focused on all of those. We talked about the taxonomy, you could say, of each and the various features thereof. We talked about also the number of minim for each. We had a discussion of that, sort of sandwiched in right before we got to etrog. So it was lulav, hadassim, arava. How many minim we're talking about? According to some, it's even one of each. According to others, it's what we have: 3, 2, 1, 1 and 1. Then we had the etrog hagazul discussion. That was lamed aleph mebet into lamed hey, and we talked a lot about etrog, and that goes on for a number of pages. Then on 36b, we got into the notion of igud, of binding up the lulav in a bundle. We talked variously about the whole idea about what the igud is going to be made of, the binding that we're using, Rabbanan versus Rabbi Yehuda, etc., whether it's essential or not essential, but a mitzvah, the mitzvah of Zekeli Van Behu. We discussed a lot of these different issues, and we had a wide-ranging discussion that include also the question of Baal Tosif, and we spent a lot of time on that. In fact, twice. Once was back last winter, and once was just now over the period of the Yom Noraim and Sukkot and the like. So even if you didn't come to all the Shiurim, we're starting like a new section. Doesn't look like a new section, but in 37b, now we're talking about the actions, plural, that we perform with the Dalet Minim. And that's the Mishnah here in the middle of the page. Again, so even if you missed, you haven't been here in weeks, you don't know what's flying, this you can sink your teeth into because we just celebrated Sukkot not too long ago. V'heichan hayu menanin. Where did they, meaning what part of the davening did they do the na'anua? V'hodu Hashem, tchila v'sof, uva'ana Hashem, hoshiyana, divrei Beit Hillel, u'Beit Shammai omrin, af ba'ana Hashem hatzlichana. So let's analyze first. Hallel, we know, is 2 chapters of Tehillim, till chapter 113, 114. It's subdivided, but it's essentially 2 chapters. There's a machloket in the Gemara already in Psachim. When did Hallel come to the Jewish people? And one of the opinions is that they're already singing Hallel when they emerged from the Yam Suf. There's a Shir Yam, but there's also a Hallel going on. And also the discussions about when it came about. So the fact that it's in Tehillim, that's where it's printed. But it doesn't mean that's its origin or the initial time that we could say this is the first time that there was a prayer called Hallel. Now, Hallel has 2 sections. If you wanted to draw a line and subdivide it, the first part of Hallel is characterized by Hallelujah. All the paragraphs start Hallelujah, they end Hallelujah. It's right up to Hallelu et Hashem kol goyim shabachu kol amim ki gaval chazdo v'met Hashem adolam Hallelujah. Yeah. So that's part 1. I got this from Rav Moshe Lichtenstein, who once presented this in our shul. It's reminding everybody. The second section is this called Hodu. Hodu Hashem ki tov kilom chazdo is the first line. And Hodu Hashem ki tov kilom chazdo is the last line. We don't see it that way in the Siddur because there's paragraphing and there's repeating and all sorts of things, which we're going to get into a little bit here on Daf Lamed Chet. It's going to come up further along. The point is that but that's part of the bracha. It's not. Yeah. Right. No. What I mean to say is, if you looked at it as a block of text, it would be apparent. Hodu Hashem Kitov at the beginning, Hodu Hashem Kitov at the end. What do we end up doing? Hodu Hashem Kitov, Yomer Na Yisrael, Yomer Na Veit Aaron, Yomer Na Yirei Hashem. End of the paragraph. Next paragraph. Mina Meitzar Karatika. Then it finishes. And then there's a new paragraph. That's what they do in the Siddur. Ana Hashem Hoshina. If you're looking at Masoretic text, it's all in one block. And then of course, some Siddurim are going to print twice. Baruch Hashem Hashem, Kel Hashem Vayir Lanu, right? But if you look into Tehillim, Zalochach, that's not what's. So you understand it when you open Rabbi Liebtag, Shlita, when it's here on Shabbos, Rabbi Menachem Liebtag, that's one of the things he talks about a lot. It's a big Indian, chiasmus. A chiasm is the beginning and the end are AA. So that's A, B, B, that's A, B, C, D, E, D, C, B, A. And you could actually line up all the parts like going in, yeah? Now, I don't mean to go off topic. The point is, there's something about the use of the lulav to shake it dafka at hodu. When? Beginning and end. It's both times you say the words, and it's the brackets around the whole of that section of Hallel. But also, Ana Hashem Hoshiana is also, we're doing the Nanuim, and that's mentioned here. And notice there's a machloket. Beit Hillel hold only for Ana Hashem Hoshiana. Beit Shammai hold it also Ana Hashem Tzlichana. So, okay. But then we find this little extra piece, which maybe we'll get back to tonight. Amar Rabbi Akiva. Sofeh Hayiti Rabbi Gamliel of Rabbi Yehoshua. Shekol ha'am hayu menanit lulaveim. I saw, says Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua, everybody was doing the Nanuim. Vehem lo na'anu ela ba'ana Hashem Hoshiana. They didn't do the waving on Ana Hashem Atzlichana. They only did Ana Hashem Hoshiana. And that is Rabbi Akiva's position. How do we paskin? Like Beit Hillel. And we paskin like Rabbi Yehoshua and Rabbi Gamliel. And Rabbi Akiva actually says, Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Gamliel. Yeah, Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua, I should say in that order. Because Rabbi Gamliel is the Nasi. The idea here is that the Gedolei Hador were doing it a certain way. Most of the people are doing it a different way. And Rabbi Akiva paskins, we should follow the Gedolei Hador. They probably have a greater sense of it, which is interesting because the majority, he says, we're doing also an Ana Hashem Tzlichana.
Surprising because it's Beit Hillel's position, so we should follow that.
Right. How come we don't?
Based upon the
right. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. Like, why didn't? So it seems that if you just leave people to their own devices, they really like to shake Ana Hashem Atzlichana too, because it's all part of it. It's nice. It's good. What's my proof? The teen minyan, one of the days of Sukkot, my son comes home, says, put up a guy to daven. He didn't say who it was. He shook for Ana Hashem Tzlichana. What are we going to do now? I said, nothing. It's a sheet of Beit Hillel. Beit Shammai. We're good. It's not an Isser. But you know, well, how do you make a mistake? But there is a reason for it. We're going to come to it soon. Yeah. Wait 1 second. Mark had the floor first. Mark, and then.
A grammatical question. When it says v'hem lo na'anu
Ella, rather.
Right.
They didn't shake except.
Now we're sure that
wave.
That we assume that that's only talking about the sof, not the tefillah.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. So we assume that what they're referring to here is right. That he's specific. The way the syntax works here is. Let me repeat the question. Mark is asking when Rabbi Akiva says, "I saw that Rabbi Gamliel Rabbi Yeshua only waved the lulav for Ana Hashem Hoshiana." So how do you know it means that they did wave the lulav for hodu?
Right.
In beginning and end? You could have read it as only just for that and nothing else.
I didn't say it differently. When I looked at it this weekend, that's how I did it.
That's what you thought. Technically, I guess you could come up with a reading like that, but the idea is the organization of the Mishnah leans away from it like this. Where did they wave it? Hodu beginning and end. Period.
I see.
And when it came to Ana Hashem Hoshiana, that's Beit Hillel, and Beit Shammai say it's Ana Hashem Atzlichana as well. Yeah, exactly. So like the limitation is on the latter part of the Mishnah. But your point, by the way, it's not impossible to read it that way, but we're going to see now based on the Gemara that it wouldn't make sense to read it that way.
I'd like clarification on the words right before that. So is that implying that it doesn't say where? The way you translated it for us, it seems to mean that everybody was waving it both for Hoshea and Hatzlicha. Is that the right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't say.
Okay, so let's do it again. By the way, I actually skipped through those words and didn't translate them right away because it is not clear until you get to the end of the sentence of Rabbi Kiva saying Ella ba'ana Shemoshiana.
Well, you know what?
Right?
I should have read Rashi. Rashi.
Yeah, well, we didn't want to bring Rashi into the picture yet, but
I didn't do it.
no, it's good. No, you did great. It's everything good. Everything good. A call tov. Yeah, we're coming to it. Hold on. But to Art's point, Beit Hillel say on Ana Hashem Oshiana, and when Beit Shammai respond, Beit Shammai means af, but Ana Hashem Atzlichana. In this case, it means an also.
Yeah.
So that's additional. So Bikiva says, I saw him Meshua. That this is syntax of the Mishnah. Even though everyone else was being Menanea the Lulav, i.e., at all the possible turns, the two of them were only doing it for Anashim Moshiana.
Okay.
Now look at Rashi, as Mark pointed out. There's one Rashi in the Mishnah, but it's instructive. Tchila v'sof, hodu shebitchilat haperek, v'hodu shebesof haperek, besof hahalel. Min hodu ad sof hahalel, chada parshata v'minin parshat sefer Tehillim. It's like Rashi used to tell you that because if you're learning Mishnah and Gemara, you probably never opened the Tanakh. I don't know. You never saw inside of Tehillim. You have a sitter. I don't know. But that's what he writes. Beginning and the end. Hodu to the beginning of the chapter, Hodu to the end of the chapter, and from Hodu until the end of the Hallel is one parsha in the minion of the parsha of Sefer Tehillim. It's going to beg the question, then why do we interrupt so much? Why don't you just have everyone make a laning? It's Kriyat Shema, just read through. I repeat, there's responsive, there's all different things going on. That's more of a sugya. The truth is, it's a little bit here with Shemei Ka'ona. We're going to come to it a little bit later. It's more a sugya and psachim than it is here with the back and forth and responsiveness and whatnot. Okay, so there's something I seem to remember also in Sota, but I don't remember it clearly, so we'll skip that. Okay, so that's the basic Mishnah. Yeah, Judah, please,
Judah, from where do we get the practice of Nanua? Where does it come from?
Oh, that is the exact first words of the Gemara. Mamash. It says, Nanua, Mandikar Shmei. Whoever mentioned anything about the Nanua? Yeah? Who's mentioning it now that we have to talk about it, think about it? So the Gemara says, Hatam Kai. It's already hinted at earlier. Where? In the beginning of Lulav HaGazul, in the Mishnah. It says, Kol Lulav sheyesh bo shloshat tfachim kidei lena'anea bo kasher. It has to be at least 3 tfachim high so that you can wave it. V'ka amar, so that's why the Mishnah started here, heichan menanin. Right? Now, why did it say heichan menanin? The answer in the Mishnah is very obviously in the tefillah. The answer is in Hallel, in these places. But the Gemara goes in a different direction and implies that actually what the Mishnah and what our practice is based on is a bit of a question of where in the Torah is there an idea about waving anything? Where does that come from? We're coming. Exactly. Excellent. That's what we're about out to. Beautiful. Wait, Mark, what did you say?
I said the same thing I just said, except less elegant.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Okay. So, you always find a different context. Now, Perek Chav Gimel of Sefer Vayikra, always remember, chapter 23, the headquarters for the Yamim Tovim. They're in several places in Chumash, but particularly there because it goes through the gamut of all of the Yamim Tovim, Shabbat, Pesach, Sfirat HaOmer, Shavuot, then a little section about some of the agricultural mitzvahs that's pushed in there, out in the field, Pe'ah, etc. And then we come to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim, Sukkot. So the point is that the holiday before the holiday of Sukkot, not right before, but somewhat before, also involves some waving. And what's that? Shtei halechem u'shnei kivsei atzeret. Keitzad hu oseh. How does one wave? What do you do? Miniach shtei halechem al gabei shnei hakvasin. You put the 2 loaves. These are special 2 loaves that are special and specific to Shavuot. Right? Korban HaOmer starts with a bag of flour or a measure of flour of barley. That's a meal offering. That's the Korban HaOmer. There's going to be a Hanafa of the Omer, by the way. They wave that around. Comes to fruition when? On the holiday that Chazal call Atzeret. It's not called that really in the Torah. There are those who understand that they have Atzeret means a completion of something because Shavuot is like the cessation of the Geula. The true freedom didn't come until the Jewish people received the Torah at Har Sinai. On the journey there, We have Sred HaOmer, etc. There is an Atzeret, a cessation of Pesach, but the Torah doesn't use Atzeret, as far as I know, when it comes to Shavuot. Unkelus refers to the words B'Shavuoteichen, which is where the Torah refers to your week, Shavuotechem. Really, it's not with the nun, but the mem. This is Atzroteichon. They use the word Atzeret, cessation. It's like a closing up, like Shmini Atzeret, cessation of Sukkot, the 8th day. Yom HaShmini Chag HaAtzeret, is that? Yeah. So the Chazal will call it that. And the point is here that the loaves, at least as far as we understand the pshat, were put on top of the two lambs. They were going to be offered. He put his hand underneath. Umenif, umolich, umevi, male, umorid. He had to wave it, bring it, put it forward, backwards, toward himself, raise and lower. Shenamar, asher hunaf, va'asher huram. As was going to be waved and as was going to be lifted up. Now, what's interesting is, where is asher hunaf, asher huram actually from? That's not a hanafa of the korban shtei halechem. Nachon? Remember?
Shmot Chavtet.
Shmot Chavtet is what's going on Shmot Chavtet. What? Who said it? Miluim. The Miluim are exactly. The Miluim are taking place in chapter 28 in Sefer Shmot. Is Tetzaveh, is the giving of the clothing, etc. And Chavtet is characterized specifically by the Miluim. 29 is the inauguration. So we have a description here of what's interesting is we're learning parts of the story from the world of the Korban of the Atzeret, on Atzeret here meaning Shavuot. And then we have part of the story seems to be on another day.
Event.
Yeah, and another event. It's somewhere an inauguration to have the what's the word? To have the Kohanim be worthy of working in the Beit Hamikdash, before Beit Hamikdash, I would say the Mishkan. Yeah. So they're going through the process.
This was only once in history.
The seven
Miluim.
Yeah, Nachon.
We have Miluim today in Israel, but it's different.
That's not the same.
I'm just kidding.
So no, that's right.
But the Lulav is yearly.
But the Lulav is yearly. If I wanted to make a drasha right now, it'd be so easy. It's like a layup, right? You want to do your inauguration to serve in Hashem's world. So you're doing your own hanaf also. You have to do also, right? V'samta hakol al kapei Aharon v'al kapei vanav ve'inafta otam tnufa lifnei Hashem. Right? And we have more psukim, right? And well, actually, let me take it from their hands. What's going to be offered on the mizbeach and the various parts. V'kidasit chazeh tnufa v'chokat truma asher hunaf v'asher huram me'el hamiluim ma'ashel ha'aron ma'ashel vanav. You're going to sanctify the breast of the animal that was lifted up, and the thigh that which was raised up, that which was waved, that which was raised, waved and raised. And what are we doing? Lulav, todavar. It's a korban. It's the same idea. Again, the drushi part has to do with we're kohanim in the service of Hashem. We're not really kohanim. They're kohanim here, but they're kohanim kedoshim. But we're all kohanim in the world. We're mamachet kohanim v'goy kadosh. That's beautiful drasha. What's the halachic nugget here? Another parallel of the lulav to the world of korbanot. Whether it's the kivsei atzeret with the shtei alechem on top of the waving, or whether it's from the zayin miluim of the Mishkan, of the different offerings that are going on the Mizbeach. They're both going on the Mizbeach. What's interesting also is you see another split that we find elsewhere as well. In another place in Shas, like an example we learned together in Masechet Yuma, was talking about the 7 days the Kohen Gadol being sequestered. So the question was, what was the model for that? Was that the model 7 days before he goes in for Yom Kippurim? Is that the model of the Kohanim? Their Zaynim Miluim? Or was the model Moshe Rabbeinu waiting to go up on Har Sinai? So the former case is related to his service in the Mishkan. The latter case related to a one-time event, Mount Har Sinai. In this case, It's the opposite. So it's like make the hands go the opposite way. Yeah, shikalti. Right here. The idea is either it's as against the korban shtei alechem, it's annual korban, or it's as against the one time in the Mishkan. We're learning though an element of it. Asher hu naf, asher hu ram. Now back to the page. So again, Tznan hatam shtei alechem u'shnei kivsei atzeret. Ketzad hu oseh miniach shtei alechem al gabei shnei hakvasin. Umeniach yado tachtehen, puts the hand underneath. Umenif, that's the waving. Umulich, puts it forward. Umevi, he's going to bring it close to him. Ma'aleh, up, and we'll read it down. Shenemar, as it says, Asher hu naf, asher hu ram. Now, actually, now I'm going to put another piece into this. It's not that these two motifs, so to speak, are competing. The point is, how do you know what to do for the korban shtei halechem, where the two breads are on top of the kvasim? From chapter 23 in Vayikra, flip back to the book of Shmot, chapter 29. Understand? There's a source and the source of the source. Amar Yochanan, Molich umevi, lemisha abaruchot shelo, mali umori lemisha shemayim va'aretz shelo. According to Rabbi Yochanan, you go ahead and behind, right? To the one who owns the four cardinal winds, and then you raise and lower to the one for whom the Shemaim and the Aretz belong to him. So, we're gonna come to a little issue here in Rashi, but let me keep going for a minute.
Are you gonna do that, Rashi?
Oh, I'm gonna do all the Rashis. I won't stop.
I'm not sure how. I'm still confused how we got from Rabbanon Shlamim to waving a lulav. I mean, I understand the Gemara says, where do we know waving? Here's a case of waving.
No. How do we know waving the lulav? Because we already know that the basic dimensions of a lulav are 3 tfachim. Why is that the number? Because that is what Chazal decided was the minimum number of tfachim that you could wave.
That was from before.
Right, but that's the source for the idea that we wave. Then the question is, how do you know how to wave?
Okay.
Oh, what's the earliest source among holidays?
Okay.
Scroll up on your screen. Oh, it's a atzeret, what the Torah calls Shavuot. We call generally Shavuot. They're waving something. How did they know how to wave on Shavuot? Korban shtei alechem on top of the kvasim. Answer: go back to the first time you have harama, hanafa, and harama. What's that? Perak Chavtet Shmot, the story of the Miluim. You understand? What?
It's my second misunderstanding tonight. So my third.
That's why you're here. Otherwise, what's the point? We're clarifying it for each other. And if you have the question mark, other people have the question. It's a perfect idea. It's great. Now, we typically have a certain order in which we do this. It's just interesting when you look at the words of Rabbi Yochanan. You go out and in. Molich is out. Mevi is in. And then gets to the 4 cardinal winds. But that's not what we do. Right? We go front. We go side, we go back, we go other side. But the Ritva reads here, won't see it inside tonight, but the Ritva reads that Rabbi Yochanan probably means you just have to go backwards and forwards one time. That's it. And then up and down. And that encompasses all 4 cardinal points. What do? We do all the way around. Now, what's the order of how we go all the way around? That's already another question. We'll see that in a minute. I want to do the second part, which is Ma'arava. Rabbi? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines up from the bottom. See the other view. B'ma'arava matnu hachi. Amar bichama bar ukva. Amar b'yosef Rabbi Chanina. Molich umevi. You push out and bring back in. Again, that's only 2 directions actually. Kedei la'atzor ruchot ra'ot. In order to stop winds that are destructive. Ma'ale umorid. Raise and lower. Kedei la'atzor tfalalim ra'im. There shouldn't be either dew or other kinds of, it means any kind of moisture that is destructive. All right. So we'll stop here for a minute.
Rabbi?
Yeah. Sorry, Ronnie, go ahead.
Yeah. They won't be able to see me, obviously, but when they say front and back, isn't that we go like this and then bring it back, and then we go like that and then bring it back and go like, that's the way I was.
So wait, that's going to be part of the discussion. Right.
Okay.
So
it says the way most Ashkenazis.
This is in the Siddur. He's reading the Siddur.
Straight ahead,
yeah,
east, right, south, back, west, left, north, up and down.
Yeah, that is what we do. Yeah. So first of all, we do it in 4 directions. And what Ronnie's pointing out is that, and this is actually what we end up doing, because that's actually how most of us read what Rabbi Yochanan at what Marava means, is that Rabbi Yochanan says it's something about the number four cardinal winds. It says so. Arba Ruchot is the 4 cardinal points, no? So he's saying the number 4. The Ritva says, no, we said Mulchamevi just means go like this one time and you're good, because you pushed it out and you went back in. That covered everything on the lateral plane. That's the Ritva. We don't pass in that way. The second opinion said, why are you going in and out? To stop winds. How do winds go? On a lateral plane. But what Ronnie's pointing out is an excellent point. So what do we actually do when we do the Na'anua? And I pointed this out, I think, in Shul on Sukkot, because it's getting a little fuzzy. I don't face anybody. I'm facing forward. I don't see what everybody's doing. People, I hear the snap a lot. So they think just to make the snap. Now, it is good. It's important. Some people are makbi to make the snap because you're actually waving the top. But first of all, you could damage the lulav. You got to be careful, because if the tiomet splits, you're gone. So you don't do that. But right, the tiomet we learned about was the top, the middle line. It's together. But aside from that, what's Molich Umevi? What Ronnie showed us. I'm demonstrating, I'm imitating you, Ronnie, doing it, right? Right? Molich Umevi. That's what it means. Molich Umevi. So the minhag of many people, this is my minhag, Molich, 1, 2, 3. But it's not just 1, 2, 3. It's really like 6. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But instead, what do you see so often? That's what they do it so fast, like a lightsaber or something. This is a lonachon, the sword. The point is being molich umevi, right? Exactly. What you're doing, Art, is correct. But it's not. But what do we do then? We end up doing the holacha and the hava in each of the directions.
Yeah.
On the lateral plane. You understand? But it's possible to read the Gemara. That's the way the Ritva read it. No, just do it one time. Just do it in this direction, and you're good to go. Yeah, Francie, go ahead.
I disagree with what you just said about 6 times. Okay.
Well, it's 3, but it's back and forth. What is
The back and forth
Yeah.
is what?
Nachon. I just meant you're doing a motion. Molich umevi, molich umevi, molich umevi. That's what.
You're not doing the whole.
Nachon.
I didn't say mitzvah, but
Nachon.
you're not doing the whole.
Nachon.
route.
I suggest
Among the Hasidim, you know what they say? The more important than the holacha is the hava. You're drawing a Kadosh Baruch Hu close to you. It's the return. It's not the out there. That's Hasidish. That's not in our Gemara. Okay, maybe we will. Or they'll watch the Gemara share. They're getting all the actions. Maybe. Maybe a lot of things. Let's not beat up on the shul. We're doing great, and let's keep going, and we'll learn some Torah. So, Judy, you wanted to ask a question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What is the meaning of this Ma'arava over there in the text?
Eretz Yisrael is the west. Ma'arava.
Oh, because they were in Bavel.
Right. That's
Okay.
why it's they made a joke at one time that or Torah West they wanted to call Ma'arava, and I said I think that's a bridge too far because it's not really. It's farther away from Eretz Yisrael. Just saying, RZC is the closest from our, we daven to Rosh Hashanah Kippur. That's totally a joke. The main thing is to face Mizrach. If you're not close by. Exactly, except it's recorded, so it's not so good. Okay, so look at this. We're going to learn a Tosfot now. 15 minutes left. This is a very important Tosfot right here on the page. It's practical. If I'm successful in explaining it, it's practical and it's not too hard to understand. But it's a fundamental Tosfot because it tells you what's going on with the Shliach Tzibur and the Kahal. So look with me at Tosfot. You with me? Tosfot behodu la Hashem so tchila v'sof. Yeah. You got it? Okay. Okay. In the end, I skipped all the Rashis. We're going to have to come back to Rashi, I guess, next time. But he quotes Rashi at the beginning. So here it is. So hodu shebetchilat haperek, v'hodu besof halel, mean hodu ad sof halel, chada parsha hi b'minyan parshiot shel sefer tehillim, kach pirish bekuntris. I'm not translating. We just read that. That's what Rashi says. Tosfot just quoted Rashi. But now, here's how Tosfot says. Tosfot says, first of all, v'yesh mefarshim tchilat hapasuk v'sof hapasuk v'lav miltahi. There are those who understand when it says hodu la Hashem ki tov tchila v'sof, they don't understand it's the beginning of the chapter and the end of the chapter. They think you're supposed to do it for hodu la Hashem ki tov, all the directions, and then kilu lam chazdo, all the directions. Incorrect, say Tosfot. But you could have made that reading. It was so far, it's not correct. V'lav miltahi. That's not correct. Ella behodu minanea pam echad. When it comes to hodu, you do the nanua one time. Now he doesn't mean one time. He means
series.
One time the sivuv and the up and the down. Okay. Now, v'chein ba'ana Hashem hoshiana kebeit Hillel v'lo ba'ana Hashem atzlichana kebeit Shammai. The same thing. Ana Hashem hoshiana is one. We happen to say Ana Hashem hoshiana two times. So Ana Hashem hoshiana, fine. But it's not Ana Hashem and Hoshiana as separate things. Yeah, okay. But Talmud debate Hillel. Afal pisha ein Ana Hashem Hoshiana tchilat haparak v'lo sof haparak mina'anim. Even though Ana Hashem Hoshiana is neither the beginning of the parak nor the end of it. It's sort of in the middle, toward the end probably. Mina'anim mishum dichtiv az yiranu atze hayar melifnei Hashem kiva lishpot et haaretz uchtiv batre. Sorry, in English. Which, by the way, everyone knows this pasuk, and you said this pasuk already today. It's hodu. When we say hodu in the davening, you keep reading. Again, we're usually moving at breakneck speeds, so I advise take time tomorrow, even if you can't say everything with full command. So focus a little bit. The trees of the forest will rejoice before God because He comes to judge the earth. And the next pasuk thereafter is Hodul Hashem Kitov Kilo Olam Chazdo, and the next pasuk Vuchtiv Nami Batre after that is the Imru, and they will say Hoshienu Elokei Yishenu, save us, our God of salvation. Behainu, meaning Yirananu Shemananu da Lulav Mishabchim Bahodu Va'ana Hashem Hoshiana. You understand? When it says, and then us Yiranu Kol Atziyah Lefnei Hashem Kival Yishpot Haaretz, then all the trees of the forest will dance before Hashem, who comes to judge the earth. The next pasuk is Hodol Hashem Kitov, and the pasuk after that is about God as saving the Jewish people. Ana Hashem Hoshiana. Doesn't say it that way, but it's the same. That's the same gist. You understand? It's another version there. Don't mix it up though. That version is the one in Tehillim. It's among the Pirkei Tehillim written by Moshe Rabbeinu, according to the Gemara Bava Batra. He's the author of those chapters. Yeah. That section. It's between 90 and 100. He wrote all of those 11 chapters. David HaMelech has it in Tehillim. Again, but not Tehillim, excuse me. David HaMelech puts those chapters it's put into Tehillim. Not that David did it necessarily, but it's put into Tehillim as chapters 90 through 100. But the authorship, as far as we know, Tefillah Moshe, those 100 through Mizmor Latoda are, according to the Gemara, written by Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, Divrei Yamim is what we read every day. Hodol Hashem Kiruv Yishmo is very dramatic. You drive in the Tel Aviv Yerushalayim highway. So just where it starts going up, there's a sign that says Kiryat Yarim. Now, is it exactly the same Kiryat Yarim? Is it not? It's in the vicinity, but it's on that side of Yerushalayim for sure. And that's where the Aron Kodesh went up to Yerushalayim. That was the first Achmas Sefer Torah, so to speak, with dancing. I didn't get to the Dvar Torah on Sunday because we ran out of time and the ice cream was melting. That's what I was told to say. So I said it. But had I had more time, that's what I would have said. The Navi describes, David mecharker b'chol oz lifnei Hashem. So David is dancing before Hashem, before the Aron Brit Hashem, going up to its Aron Kodesh. The Aron Kodesh is going up to its place, to the Beit Knesset of Klal Yisrael, to the place in Makom Mikdash. That's the first Achman Sefer Torah. That's what's going up. So the speech, or the song rather, that accompanied the avoda, first of all, on the day when they brought it up, it's that's what David HaMelech said. That's what Divrei Yamim reports. And then it seems, according to some of the midrashim, that's what they would say every day when the avoda of the korbanot in the mizbech next to the Aron HaKodesh in Yerushalayim. There was no mikdash yet, just a mizbech. That's the mikdash is built. You see it in Perek Chaftal. The main mizbech in Givon, but there's something. Yeah. So they're doing some, but there was also mizbech in the vicinity of Yerushalayim in Perek Chaftal and Shmuel Bet. Remember when the Magefa happens, he builds like a little something there. And the question is, why is this Givon? That's what we're doing Malach Mal. Okay, I don't get too off topic, but the point is the two themes. Now watch this. Mind this. The two themes that we just learned about. Reb Yochanan says, why are you waving it? You're acknowledging Hashem controls everything in the world and up and down. Hodah, thanksgiving, acknowledgement, recognition. The second opinion, the one from Ma'arava, what did they learn? Rabbi Chama Bar Ukva, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Chanina. Why are you doing the waving? You're davening to Hashem for the future. You're petitioning Hashem. It's a bakasha. Hashem, save us from damage of wind or of rain. Mashif haruach u'merid hagashem. Mashif haruach u'merid hagashem. Understand? So you have here the two themes. Hodul Hashem ki tov kilom chazdo is Rabbi Yochanan, in a way, and Ana Hashem Moshiana, please Hashem save us, is the one that they would say in Eretz Yisrael. Very interesting. Also, Rabbi Yochanan and the others were all in Eretz Yisrael. It's interesting. B'ma'arava matnu, that's how they lived in Eretz Yisrael. Like that was the rationale. But you see, that's how it played out actually in Hallel. Back to Tosfot. So in Tosfot, if you lost the place, I mean the narrow lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the start of the net from the lines from where the lines get wide. So count up. So I have here Uranus, Minanim, the Lulav, Umishachim Hodu, Uva'ana Hashem Oshiana. The Achshav, and now that's the last word on the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines up in the narrow lines from where it gets wide. Count up. The Achshav, and now Shenagu Shishliach Tzibur Omer Yomar Na Yisrael V'Atzibur Onin Hodu. That's what we do, right? When the Chazan says Hodu Hashem Ki Tov Kilam Chazdo, it's no brainer. We answer Hodu Hashem Ki Tov Kilam Chazdo. It's what he said. What we say. But then the Chazan says Yomar Na Yisrael Kilam Chazdo. What do we say? Hodu Hashem Ki Tov Kilam Chazdo. So he mentions it here. V'chein beYomar Na Yireh Hashem Atzibur Menanim Al Kol Hodu v'Hodu She'onin. Every time we respond Hodu Hashem Ki Tov Kilam Chazdo, we do the Nanuim each time. I do not know. I have not yet found. Why did Tosfot not put in Yomar Na Veit Aharon? Was there a minute not to do it by Yomar Na Veit Aharon? I don't know. I assume that he meant to say it and just skipped to the last one, meaning it's implied. Tosfot didn't say just now Yomar Na Veit Aharon. Skipped. Yomar Na Yisrael, Yomar Na Yireh Hashem. I don't know. Aval Shliach Tzibur lo Yinaneya, but the Shliach Tzibur should not be Minaneya. V'yesh Mefarshim the Af Shliach Tzibur Minaneya Agav Tzibura Shonin B'chol Pam Upam Hodu. But there are those who are mafarish that really the Shliach Tzibur should be Minaneya alongside the Tzibur, because the Tzibur is doing it, the Shliach Tzibur should do it as well. Interesting, yeah? Because really the Shliach Tzibur, well, what we do Hodu Hashem each time we do the wave. Right. It sounds that way. Yeah, for Yom Veit Yom Veit Yireh Hashem, they don't wave. But they do wave for the Hodus after. By the by, he didn't answer why is Yom Yisrael. I know. So I was about to say this is the next sentence. I was saying we have not accounted for in this Tosfot. What about Yom Yisrael? But that is the Minig Yisrael for the Chazan. The Chazan. I can't answer all the questions tonight. You got to come back next week. It's a good. I'm saying Tosfot doesn't answer that question. It's kind of strange, but maybe there wasn't the Minig in the time of the Bali Tosfot. No, it's a very good question. Excellent question. So I'm on now on the first of the wide lines. Yeah,
Rabbi, maybe it's for next week. But why doesn't the Kehila also do the Nanuim on the very first Hodul Hashem Kito that the Chazan says?
The point it's for this week. The idea is that those first 4 lines, Hodul Hashem Kito Chazdo Yomar Na Yisrael Yomar Na Veit Aaron Yomar Na Hashem, are meant to be recited in a particular syntax that is dafka responsive and not just going along together. It's one of the manners, one of the ways in which we express a Hallel. I'm running short on time. It's 8:40, so I'm going to keep going and plod through the rest of Tosfot here. But that's the general gist of it, is that it is supposed to be in that format specifically. We're responding to what he's saying by saying Hodul Hashem Kitov each time. Now the minig that we have also, by the way, cover our bases. Again, this is more the Gemara and Pesachim, is we also say the next line as the kahal. Right. So when the Chazan says Hodul Hashem Kitov Kilam Chazdo, we all say Hodul Hashem Kitov Kilam Chazdo, Yom Yisrael Kilam Chazdo. Then the Chazan says Yom Yisrael Kilam Chazdo. Then we say Hodul Hashem Kitov Kilam Chazdo, Yom Veit Aaron Kilam Chazdo, etc., etc. That's deliberate, and we can't parse that tonight. But that is a minig that is very long-standing in our shul. Many shuls like it. It's not accidental. It's not happenstance. It's not just because people like to say the line. It has to do with how Hallel works. What? Yeah, fine. That's true. Okay, so now to the wide lines. Yeah. Okay. So we have here Umanani Minanea Na Mishlech Tzibur B'Yomar Na Uv'Yomru Na Uv'Shad Bracha. He means the Hodu part. Uv'Shad Bracha Lo Matzinu Im Chayv L'Nanea B'Tchilat Netila. When at the time when you make the bracha al Netilat Lulav, we did not find, this is a dialogue, so don't jump on me. Let's finish Tosfot. You're going to see, they're actually, the Bali Tosfot like discussing it with themselves. We did not find, they say initially, whether or not you have to be, whether you're obligated to do the Na'anua when you make the bracha, because you're going to do it in Hala. So, Ella Midamrinu Pirkim, but we looked in the, later on, in this parak, in our parak, it's going to say, Katan hayodel na'aneya chayav belulav, mashma de mena'aneya b'tchilat habracha, af al pi she'eni yodel ikrot halel. Later on, the Chazal will tell us, the Mishnah will tell us, it's on 42, it'll say a child that knows how to it's in the Braita, excuse me, a child who knows how to wave the lulav, it is the Mishnah. Katan del na'aneya chayav belulav. So Tos would say, what katan is a katan that knows how to wave? Why have to tell us that they should get a lulav? Why did they say it in Hallel? The answer is a katan means a katan even that doesn't know how to read Hallel. They'll still, if they know how to wave. So the Bali would say that's a hint that when you make the bracha on the lulav, you have to do the na'anua, because a katan would ought to be chayv in lulav as soon as they know how to do the na'anua. It doesn't say when they know how to read Hallel. Maybe they don't know how to read Hallel, but they know how to do na'anua. Good enough. So we see that there's some kiyum of the na'anua connected to the bracha, not related to Hallel at all. Not really, but we do. I mean, sorry, they're not chayiv in the mitzvah of lulav, but they are. That's what the Gemara goes into. We're going to get to that in 42. I'm tabling that question. Is chayiv in chinuch, and is it the parent, the father is chayiv, or the child is chayiv? It's kind of down there chayiv. Aviv, the father is chayiv to give him a lulav. So that's what it describes. It's chayiv bil lulav. What does that mean? Actually lulav, or in his chayiv in chinuch, and the chinuch, mitzvah chinuch, is expressed with the lulav. Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
By Tkiya Shofar or Kriya Megillah, they apply the same thing. But no. It's only by,
specifically about the lulav. They have to get the chinuch about how to do it. So you see here, Tosfot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 lines down in Tosfot, in the wide lines. Another answer. The Gemara there says, if a person gets up very early in the morning and they're going to go out of town, they're traveling, Mivin lo shofar, v'tokeya, lulav umena'aneya, Megillah v'koreba, mashma de mena'aneya below halel. Tosfot says it sounds like it means that they're going to do the nanua without saying halel. They should have the mitzvah object to be able to fulfill the mitzvah itself, even without it being in the context of tefillah. Tosfot here gave us 2 reasons why it's likely, and in fact, that is how the Bali Tosfot paskin, and that's what we try to do. Most people try to do, I shouldn't say everyone by any means, is to make the bracha and do the na'anua immediately thereafter. So you try to be maked to do it earlier, before shul, a lot of people, what have you. Yeah. I mentioned already in one of the shiurim on Sukkot, we'll close with this, that the Grach, Reb Chaim Soloveitchik, I like the sheet of the Rambam. The Rambam disagreed with Tosfot here. The Rambam thinks the Na'anua is only in the context of Hallel. And therefore, Reb Chaim Soloveitchik was makbid never to make the bracha on the lulav at home, or as the Ari says in the Sukka or anything. You got to make the bracha on the lulav on page 630, and a second later, 632, start Hallel. Because you know when you finish the mitzvah of taking the lulav, Hodul Hashem Kitov, Ana Hashem Oshiana, Hodul Hashem Kitov. That's the only way. And he you understand why the Ram disagreed? Because why did Tosfot bring 2 proofs? And they're using the word mashma. It's not 100%. Maybe. Understand? It stands to reason, but you couldn't say to a person, you made the bracha, you didn't do the na'anua, you weren't yotze the mitzvah. Mida agbe nafke. As soon as you lift it up in the proper way, you're yotze the mitzvah of netilat lulav. But there's something else that's a chiyuv, that's the na'anua, that's part and parcel for the Rambam. Based on his formulation, so integrated into the netilat lulav equals raise and wave specifically. That's all we're going to have time for today. We finished the Tosfot. We have a lot more to see, Rashi, the Tosfot, etc. And come back next week. It'll be very exciting. Wait, is related or something else? Go. So you don't do it responsive. Good question. You don't do responsive. But you still would do on the Hodu, beginning and end, and you would do also on the Ana Hashem Oshiana. But you need the responsive element for all the answering. That is not done. That requires the call and response. That's part of the syntax of it, and it's patterned after a call and response at Kriyat Yamsuf.